In this case study, we're going to share with Dr. Joel Winbanks, who's an osteopath in Melbourne. He's going to share with you his story and journey of how he became an osteopath, the industry that he serves, the niche that he serves, the way that he runs his business, and where he was before he started working with us. This story is a story of an amazing practitioner who's had lots of experience, that had got to what we call the good enough line. Things were doing okay and he was ready for the next level, but had no idea how to take it there. So I can't wait to share this with you, and I look forward to seeing you at the end of the video. Hey Joel, how you going?
I'm good. How are you?
Good, thank you. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today and having a bit of a chat about your experience over the last sort of 12 months or so. Do you maybe want to introduce yourself and share with us who you are, what you do, and who you help?
Yeah, so I'm an osteopath out in the southeast suburbs of Melbourne. I work from home as a solo practitioner. So we just kind of set up a room at the front of the house there, and I've been working with the local community, helping them with their injuries and stuff since I started. Essentially, I've been running my business now, I think it's my 7th year. So just kind of built it up on my own for the first sort of 4 or 5 years, and then have been working with you guys the last 12 months to, get some good systems and figure it, make sure I know what I'm doing rather than trying to figure it out myself.
Yeah, that's great. So Joel, why did you get into osteo? What was your inspiration behind that?
I was a personal trainer for about 5 or 6 years before I discovered osteo. I didn't really kind of know what I wanted to do, and I knew that I had a passion for sort of health and fitness and spent some time there. And then I found with a lot of my PT clients, I was getting questions about, their shins hurt when they're running, or, their shoulder hurts when they're doing bench press and stuff like that. And I didn't know the answers to their questions, and I would just have to, as a trainer, kind of do my best to avoid any aggravating activities and train around it. But I've noticed I wanted to be that person who could say, oh, that hurts because of this, and your shoulders are too rounded forward, and this is what you need to do to fix it, and things like that. So I thought, well, maybe I'll get out of a life of training and get into a job of treatment. And I very much liked the idea of having a hands-on skill and working one-on-one with people. So I did. So I transferred. I was doing exercise science at the time and transferred into osteo, and spent the next 5 years doing that. So here I am.
What an amazing skill set to take into the treatment room, not just, cause and effect. If I recreate this pain, then I do these things, and, off we go. But also to have an understanding of the physical body, of how we move and form, and then to understand the psychology behind what motivates people to actually be active. What stops people being active.
Yeah, it definitely helped. Like, there was a lot of skills that transferred over from personal training into being a practitioner, particularly with the exercise prescription stuff, but also being aware of how to motivate people and understanding, if you give them a list of 14 things to do at home, that their eyes are going to glaze over and you've lost them by about exercise 2 or 3. So just little things like that you can take in, and learning how to manage people and people's expectations has been really good. And then obviously the stuff you learn from anatomy and biomechanics and rehab was just has reinforced osteo. It's been a good combination, particularly since sort of my key people that I love to treat at the moment is the CrossFit community. So I'm a bit of a CrossFit nerd myself, and so I love treating people that are interested in the same sport as me. Yeah. So that's been really handy as well, because it is bringing in a lot more of a rehab-based and exercise prescription approach to treatment as well, not just the hands-on side of things.
Yeah, fantastic. So you had all this amazing skill, wisdom, knowledge, and experience, got into osteo, working from home, been doing that for about 5 years.
Yep.
Why were you looking for coaching, or what was it that you were looking for when you first contacted us?
The main thing was I wanted a system, I wanted a structure, and I was kind of at the point where I was just sick of trying to make things up on my own. So you watch other people, so it's particularly with marketing and social media. I'm not amazing at social media. It's not my jam, but I understand that I've got to be where my target market is, and that it is the modern form of getting your profile and your brand out there. So I just needed some guidance, and I wanted a structure and somebody to show me the best and most efficient ways of doing things, ways that have been tried and tested, but because I was kind of doing stuff, but not knowing if it was the right sort of things, whether it was getting enough engagement, what good engagement looked like, what was unsuccessful, that sort of thing. And I just got to the point where my business was doing okay, but if I wanted to take it next level and start planning for the future to get my own clinic and hire staff and things like that, that I needed a more secure system. I needed a platform where almost like a tap where I could turn it on, generate leads, get my staff full and busy and get myself at capacity, and then just turn it off when I needed to, I guess, to give me job security. That it wasn't just okay, well, I'll give this a go and hope that it works. And then if I've committed to a lease or bought a building and set up a clinic and gone all in, that I'm not just hoping that what I'm doing is working.
Yeah.
So that was probably the main thing. Yeah.
I think you bring up a really good point that I want to just quickly cover, and that is that place where we get to where we feel like things are good enough. It's like we get to, it's okay, we're making money, it's not bad, nothing's broken. And the challenge is that good enough line can trap us. That good enough line is like, well, I'm okay what I do, I'm getting good results, don't really know how to scale it, but we kind of, everything's okay because I'm ticking most of the boxes. When we move through the good enough line, what tends to happen is we have to start creating robust structures around and systems in our business to be able to move through into working more in our genius zone, so that even if marketing is not your jam, you can know how to outsource that with the criteria, rather than you handle that because that's not my thing. It's like, I want you to do this. I want these posts. I want them to be like this. This is my target market. And all of a sudden, just like I said, you've got a tap that you can turn things on and off again. So that's great. So when you first started working with us, do you remember roughly either how booked out were you? Like, were you at like 50%, 75, or how many patients a week were you seeing roughly?
I think I was seeing sort of low 30s, which at that point, I think I had about 50 plus appointments open. And I remember starting with you guys and saying that, I wanted to hit 55 patients a week, which I just pulled from thin air and thought, hey, that would be a good number based on how much money I want to earn and how many hours I thought I should be working. But I always felt, and I remember saying to a friend that I felt like I had this glass ceiling over my head, that I would sort of hit the low 30s and then it would sort of drop off. And like, of course, all business fluctuates, but I just couldn't seem to get, to 40 or above. And I remember complaining about that. So it was going okay. Like I was earning enough, but I definitely wanted more, and I wanted, to run a better, more efficient business.
And what was the timeline that you'd given yourself to be able to hit those numbers, particularly when you started talking with us and then, okay, this is what we're going to do? What was the sort of timeline you'd given yourself to be able to hit 50, 55?
The 12 months. So I would have been happy to spend the time, by the end of 12 months to be on 55 patients a week, because I do have a tendency to get a bit overwhelmed if it jumps too quickly. So I thought that's a nice steady progression, and that would, be a good timeline. So we did end up smashing that, which was pretty good. I think we hit that in like the 4-month mark. So it was super early and much earlier than I anticipated, which was good. It was very good, because it gave me confidence that, okay, I've invested in this and it's actually going to work for me. And then I had to deal with that being real. And then what was great about hitting those numbers and beyond was actually that 55 to 60 was actually too many for me, which we discussed. So that was a good learning experience, because I did just have this random number and I had a goal to hit. And then I didn't know what to do once I hit my goal. And then B, had to be okay with that goal actually not being appropriate for what I thought, and being able to recalibrate and readjust and go, okay, well, yes, I can do those numbers, but there's a lot of osteopaths doing those numbers and more, but what works best for me and what brings me good work-life balance and makes me happy in my job. So that's been a really excellent experience from last year. Learning what I don't want, I guess, is just as valuable as learning what I do want.
Yeah. And I think the word that you used in there that we often talk about is calibration. Sometimes people come and speak to us and like, this is what I want to do, and I want to do it in 6 months or 12 years or whatever whatever their goal is. And I'm always like, awesome. I'm yet to be scared by someone's goal. And I'm always, now I don't mean waiting for things to drop. That's not what I mean. But I'm thinking about, is that actually viable for that person?
And some people would be like you said, some osteos are doing that easy every single week, happy days. And sometimes we get to a level where we go, actually, this is not what I want. Like, I'm glad I've experienced it because tick, job done. I know I can attract that many clients a week. Yay, go me. But actually, give me 40 patients a week or 45 patients a week and happy days. That works really well in relation to my mental health and my physical health. And just me as a general human being tends to be a little bit better. And we had a pretty big price rise at some point through that journey throughout last year. In 2020, I might add. So Joel, you're in Melbourne in 2020. Yay! We're able to treat for, yeah, that's right. The place to be in one place at a time. So talk to us about the price rise that you, I'll say decided on. I won't say pushed into, I'll say decided on, but what was it that you went from and to?
So I was currently charging $82 a return and $95 for an initial consult, which I'd kind of just structured off previous clinics that I'd worked at. But looking back on it, I noticed that I'd always kind of priced myself underneath my local competitors. And whether that was a bit of a self-worth issue in terms of not valuing myself as a practitioner, as a business, and believing that, I could do it and all that sort of stuff, which we've worked through as well. So now I rebranded. I used the 8-week period of stage 4 lockdown in Victoria to rebrand my business. And part of the rebrand was the price rise. So I now charge $142 for an initial and $102 for a return. So at the very minimum, it was a $20 price increase on return patients and even bigger on initials, because I wanted to, I guess once I discovered that I didn't want to see as many patients, I wanted to work smarter and not harder. So for me, in my perfect world, seeing the amount of patients I want to see, but earning the amount of money I want to earn, the price rise kind of made sense, as terrifying as it was, to implement the price rise. And I'd seen a lot of other people in the group as well. It's always a friction point, sticking point for people freaking out that, oh my God, I'm going to lose all my patients and no one's going to come and see me. And, but I was so wrong about that, obviously. And you guys guided me through that, which was really helpful, because I probably wouldn't have been gutsy enough to do it on my own. But you guys assured me that it would all be fine and that it's all safe and no one's going to, my business isn't going to collapse. And barely anyone's noticed, to be honest. Like I ran it by a couple of people before I implemented the change, and they were like, Joel, I don't even know how much I paid you. And they were just like, okay, $20, so what? No worries.
And I think that this is a huge thing that holds people back. People are like, oh, no, what I'll do is I'll wait. I'll get a better clinic. I'll wait till I've got more staff. I'll just wait till I'm more experienced. Or I'll price myself based on exactly like you said. I'll just go a little bit under what everyone else is doing. And James has a great line that he talks about being reassuringly expensive. And honestly, many times when you're attracting the kind of level of people that you're looking to attract in, you're not looking to work with everyone, and nor do we want to. You actually want to work with people who want to be active and move their body. They're already paying for a gym subscription in probably a couple of different places. They're doing CrossFit events. They're investing in their health and wellness. Why not invest in you? So I'm imagining, and certainly clarify this if I'm incorrect, but the people that come and see you are the ones that when you give them 2 exercises to do, are more likely going to at least do 1 and probably going to do 2. Because of the way that you influence them, because they're investing, they're putting skin in the game. It's a similar with coaching. People, don't want to pay for coaching sometimes. It's like, well, part of paying for coaching is like, well, crap, I'm not going to pay for advice that I'm not going to be taking on board. James Lee's telling me to put my prices up, even if I have that undie tightening moment that we call it, I'm still going to do it, because it's like, well, I'm paying you, and as we've said, no one's ever gone broke from raising their prices.
Yeah. And it's actually had a twofold effect, because not only the patients I'm attracting in are people who are attracted to that perceived value. They're like, oh, okay, well, you're a little bit more expensive than your competitors, blah, blah. And they're very much of the mindset you get what you pay for, which is great. So they do tend to have a high compliance than some of the patients I was getting before. But probably the bigger result I've seen of it is the change in me as a practitioner as well, because now I'm like, well, if I'm charging more, I need to step up and deliver that level of quality. How can I bring more value to this customer because I am 10 to 15, $20 dearer than my competitors now. So it's like, well, I need to step up and I need to live up to that, which has also been really, really good. So, and then with numbers not fluctuating after the price rise, I'm still getting the same amount of, new business coming in, the same amount of return customers. So it's like, well, shit, why didn't I do this ages ago? But I wasn't ready for it back then, right?
Yeah.
So
and that's it. We can always, we look back and we retrospectively connect the dots. But we can never see that going forward. And that is really an integral part to having someone in your corner, that if you are losing your bundle, not that you actually ever have, but when people are losing their bundle and going, I can't possibly charge that in my socioeconomic area, or whatever, they insert whatever great story they've created for them is.
Yeah.
I love that. And it's so powerful to have someone, have the voice of your coach saying, you can do it, it's safe, you're not going to die. And also then having a tribe of people who have already done it. And you look around and go, well, if a bunch of massage therapists can do it and they seem like, fine, okay, I can't deny, I can't ignore that, it is really powerful. So you went from low 30s reasonably consistently up to mid 50s, dropped it back now to, is it around the 40, 45? Is that your...
Yeah, maintaining around 40, 45 is kind of my sweet spot.
Yeah, beautiful. And attracting, I would say, values matched clients, so more compliant clients, and it's made you step up as a practitioner to ensure that every time you step into that treatment room, you're treating at 150%. I do the maths on that, but you get what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And now the next phase for you is to hire your first team member.
Yes.
So do you want to talk us through what the process has been like? It's still very early in its phase, but talk me through what it is that you've felt like you've needed and what you've put in place up until this point.
Okay, so I guess I needed to know the appropriate processes to do this legally, right? So a big thing that I've learned from you guys and what you have in the portal trainings, which has been incredibly helpful, and I still have lots to dig through because there's a fair bit there, is how to run an appropriate salary model. Our industry is breaking away from this contractor model, and the ATO is kind of really cracking down on people and making sure that staff are being looked after. So just having the resources there, that's been the very first thing, is making sure that I've got the legal side of things in place, how it works, having somebody on a salary, my obligations as an employer, their obligations as an employee, making sure that I'm satisfying the award and doing it all, that I'm ticking all the boxes and doing it legally, separating super, all that sort of stuff. So that's been probably the biggest first step. I just interviewed a guy yesterday, which went really, really well. So again, from the trainings in the portal, that gave me a structure to be able to sit down and go, okay, well, I've never interviewed someone before. How do I do this? So having the interview questions and the process and how it should go and how much time it should take and things like that was really great to have that framework. And I was able to add a few things of my own to that as well. Now it's just all about kind of taking the next step and getting the contracts drawn up and getting uniforms ordered and negotiating hours with him and things like that. So, but again, having you and James and the rest of the group in my corner has been what's got me past that sticking point. And with both the rebrand, the price increase, and now the staff member, they're all sticking points that I may not have stepped over that line by myself. So to me, that's what's been most valuable working with you guys as well, and why I'm doing the second year and things like that as well. So because I know I have the tendency to kind of hit that wall and go, oh, will I, won't I? Oh, and I'll procrastinate and I'll put it off and I just won't do it. Whereas now with my steps to success that we do every week, I have my list and I work through my list. And so I know that the things I'm doing are actually pushing me out a little bit further and further and further out of my comfort zone. But I have two people just standing on the sideline going, go on, you can do it. Go, you can do it. Yeah. But not in a, you just have to suck it up and do this kind of way, because that's not what I respond to. So having that support's been it's been invaluable, because I wouldn't have done it without it.
Okay. And so let's talk about your experience in the program. So they're the results that you've gotten, which are phenomenal, and massive kudos to you for your ability to commit and also to take action in a consistent direction, and to notice and recognize what stops you from moving forward, or what those sticking points are, reaching out and asking for help, and for just moving through whatever it is to be able to get to the next level. And that's on you. You've had the support, and you've had access to the material, and you've chosen to step in. So well done. What I'd love to know is that what has been your experience going through? You've had coaching in the past, and you've gone through different experiences. Obviously, a PT background, you would have seen all sorts of styles of coaching. What's been your experience with us over the last just over 12 months now?
Oh God, where do I start? The experience at the start is a little overwhelming because there's so much content, and learning the regular systems that I didn't have in place. So the accountability, doing our steps to success every week and posting that in the group for weekly accountability, dashboard domination. You get lots of posts and notifications about just getting yourself set up. But once that settles and you kind of get into your system, the experience has been great. I think it's been very well balanced, which is good for me. So I know I've got accountability, but also I'm not being spoon-fed. There's a lot of content in the portal that I had to kind of get through myself, but at the same time I had the support network of being able to go, hey guys, how do I do this, or where do I find that, or I can ask other members in the group for their experiences or advice as well. So that's been really good. But you know, if I started to drift off course a little bit and disappear for a few weeks, which I have a tendency to do if I get stressed or overwhelmed, then there was always that kind of nice, gentle, like, where are you? What are you doing? You know, let's catch up. Let's just see where you're at. And just kind of that gentle kind of putting me back in my lane and getting me go again. So that's been really good, because I do tend to retreat and avoid a little bit sometimes when I'm challenged. But it's been a perfect balance between going, okay, you're a big boy, you need to handle some of these things yourself, and be self-motivated and driven and do the learnings, but also having, you know, two people in my corner and a group in my corner and someone holding my hand along the way. So I think for me personally, it's been a really well-rounded experience. I'm not being pushed into anything, but I am being supported at the same time. And the portal content, as I've said from day one, is incredible. Like the amount of stuff, it exceeded my expectations coming into it. I think you guys actually undersold it a little bit, to be honest, which is good. It was a nice surprise, but there's just so much stuff in there. And so having my second year experience, I think, is going to be really different from my first year, because now that I've seen the scope of everything that's on offer, I can sit there and go, okay, well, this year, based on my 12-month goals, I don't need that. And I can just set that aside for another time. And these are the pieces that I need to focus on. And I can create a structure around that. And then with you guys knowing what I'm planning for the year and helping me plan that out, then you can go, okay, well, yep, that bit's appropriate, or maybe put that bit first and then go into there. So the second year experience, I feel like I'm going in a lot more cool, calm and collected, a bit more grounded and a bit more organized with my plan. So that's really good.
Yeah, that's sensational. And it, you know, I think that is something that's really important when you're being coached, is that you're coached in the way that you need, you know, and to be able to, because some people do need their, you know, just get on with it and do it. And some people need more spoon feeding. The ability to be able to have a really good system in place that we know that we're going to get most people, and then to tailor the coaching to how the individual rolls. We call that the spaghetti effect. Like that's the actual term we have for it. And that we get a plan. Here is, it's like hard spaghetti, goes from here to here. It's great. This is what we're going to do. Woohoo. And then you put that spaghetti into the boiling water and it gets all jumbled up. And that you know, Joel going off into the distance and we haven't heard from a while, is Joel's spaghetti effect of, come on, come back up to the surface. Remember that there's people here in your corner. It doesn't matter what you haven't done. It's not about that. It's not about judgment. It doesn't matter where you are. As long as you know you're there, what do you need to move forward? I don't know. I haven't thought of it. Well, now that you've been asked the question, what is it that you need? Exactly. I've probably just been working too hard. I saw 55 clients in the last 4 weeks straight, and I'm knackered, and everyone else is having time off in 2020 and I'm not. You know, like
there was that moment. I remember that one. Yep.
I can edit that out if you don't like it.
No, that's fine.
You know, but whatever that spaghetti effect is for people, I think that's really, because we know that that's actually where the transformations begin. Yeah, portal content's great. Seriously, James and I have spent a combined 40 years of experience in business.
Mm.
And anything people need, we can create a module for like that in a 24-hour period. And we do, we update them and change them all the time to make sure that people are getting the best of the best of the best. The idea is not to go into the portal and watch it all, because you'd be just as mad as James and I. The idea is to go in the portal and get from it what you need.
Yeah.
And I think in year 2, you get to be a little bit more selective. Well, I actually don't need all of that stuff. That's great, but good on you guys. I really need this bit, and to be able to work through that really clearly.
Yeah.
But I think that spaghetti effect is where we actually see the transformations take place, because you can't unlearn that stuff. Now you know, oh, I just need to calibrate. I'm seeing too many clients. How do I bring it down and still make the same amount of money? I got to raise my prices. And well, there's some more hurdles to jump through. Jump through all of that and go, oh, okay, cool. I've got a great brand. I'm charging what I'm worth. I've got a really good rhythm and flow for life. I think I'm ready to hire. Boom.
Yep.
And yeah, like I said, you can't unlearn that stuff, and you can't unlearn the challenges and the beliefs from that.
And the other main thing I was thinking about as well, that was, I guess, different from other coaching stuff that I've done in the past, is like, yes, there's a whole bunch of information you learn, all this new content, but there's also the other side, and probably just as important, if not more important, this is what you do with that information. Because I've done other courses before where it's like, here's this overwhelming amount of information, which is all really cool and helpful stuff, systems, tools, techniques, whatever. But having someone go, okay, well, here's all this great content, but this is actually how you implement it. And this is probably the best way to implement it. Because it's kind of like, you know, when you go into a restaurant and there's like 110 items on the menu, and you're just like, holy crap. And you're like looking at it for ages, like there's all these great options, but it's like, well, now that I've got all these options, what do I do with them? Whereas I think when your head's down in the book and you're looking and you're learning, sometimes it's hard to pull yourself out and go, okay, well, what do I actually do with this now? So that's where I found, when I did kind of look up and realize I'm not where I'm meant to be, that you were like, just pick me up and you're like, right, cool. Based on our 12-month and quarterly planning sessions and the recalibration sessions, you're like, okay, well, you started here and we've kind of drifted over here, so let's just put you back where you're meant to be and keep going down that way.
Stay in your
so that's
way.
been really valuable.
Yeah, no, that's great. I really appreciate that. Joel, is there anything else you wanted to share? If anyone was thinking about doing this, whether, you know, if they were looking at this, well, obviously if they're looking at this, if they're listening to this far, they're probably interested in, you know, whether this is for them. What advice or what would you recommend?
I would just take the leap of faith, because I wouldn't be where I'm at now if I hadn't have made the investment, if I hadn't have committed and decided, okay, well, you know, now's enough time trying stuff and hoping that it works. I actually needed to mentally and physically and financially commit to actually going, okay, if I'm going to get my business to where I want it to be, I need somebody to show me who's been there and done it before me. So not be afraid of putting in and investing in it in whatever way that, you know, you see that word investment, but committing to actually making changes that you want, and to know that it's going to take time, that it's not a sprint, it is a marathon. But it's much easier having people by your side to walk you through and handle any obstacles that come along the way. And yeah, I would just go for it, because it's, I don't know, I couldn't imagine my business without it, put it that way. I'm very excited to see where the business is going to go.
Yeah, absolutely. As are we. Watch this space.
Watch this space.
I really appreciate your time today. Thank you so much for hanging out with us.
You're welcome.
And yeah, it's been really great to connect, and well done again on all your incredible results you've created.
Thanks.
If this is you, if you're watching going, oh my gosh, I am at the good enough line too, and I'm ready to take it to the next step, there's sticking points in my business and I really need some help to be able to move through them and to understand how to move through the spaghetti effect that we talked about on the video, we would love to be able to chat with you. If you already have an appointment with one of our team members, we look forward to speaking with you. And if you haven't yet, then please get in touch, because we would love to be able to help you take your business to the next level and make sure that you're making a greater impact in everything that you do.